Oh, Jesus, dudes. Good morning, dudes. So I'm a little bit under the weather, and our trails have gone to hell. So I'm gonna pull one from the archives here and tell you about my favorite ride in Bend, Oregon, dude. Continuity. My favorite ride in Bend, Oregon is Metolius-Windigo-Lava-Edison. It's a loop out of Edison Snow Park. It's about 20 miles outside, or 30 minutes outside of downtown Bend towards Mount Bachelor. You can figure out the whole map thing. I'll leave links in the description to some trail maps and my Strava and whatnot. Basically what you're gonna do is start down here in Edison Snowpack, dude. Park there, and then this is kind of the nutty part. I call this human shuttling. Some people take issue with that and they say, oh, what do you mean, just a regular mountain bike ride? I'm like, well, on my regular mountain bike rides, I don't normally ride 9 miles or whatever, 10 miles uphill on pavement at the start of the ride. I mean, some people do. That's not normal for me. So it takes me about an hour to climb up this road here. So that's the human shuttling part. If you're a sane person and if your friends had not already left and gone home and you weren't on a solo ride like I was this day, you would probably have someone park a car down at Edison Snow Park and then you'd come and park a car up at Dutchman. I didn't have that luxury this day, and so I rode up the road to the trailhead. So that's 9 miles or 10 miles or whatever of this 30-ish mile loop. So you park down there and then you're gonna hit the trailhead just past Dutchman. You're gonna head down to the gorgeous Cascade Lakes down here, Lava Lake and Little Lava Lake. You gotta climb out of this huge hole you've gotten yourself into and then descend back down to the car, dude. It's about as simple as that. So let's take a look at some of the trail, dude. So while this isn't the most backcountry loop, you actually are pretty close to the road at a lot of points. It is pretty isolated. You're not gonna see many people on the trail. At least I didn't this particular day, and I generally don't when I do this loop. I've done it quite a few times at this point. And for a guy from Boston. You're gonna wanna pack plenty of snacks. I packed a battery charger, both for GoPros and for the phone. You're probably gonna have phone reception for the entire loop. I'm not a big GPS guy, so I like to go to the bike shop and buy a map, and that just works better for me. I mean, I'll put links to GPS stuff for this ride in the description, as well as my Strava, dude. At this point, I was shooting with the Karma Grip and the Hero 5, which is sort of a major pain in the ass for a 3-hour plus actual mountain bike ride, where you can't really be putting the thing away and taking it back out. Anyway, we'll get more into that later. I was riding the Pivot Cycles Mach 5.5, a demo bike from Sagebrush Cycles in Bend. I highly recommend those guys. They keep their demo bikes dialed and tuned up, and the 5.5 is a great bike. It's 160 in the front, 140 in the rear, 66-ish degree head angle, a little bit more than you need for a ride like this, or most of the rides in Bend, other than the park stuff at Bachelor, but still a super light, fun bike, corners really well. And I never felt like I was carrying around too much bike, really, but it was there if I needed it, and sometimes I needed it. So yeah, 9-mile road climb up to the trailhead, nice warm-up, very adequate warm-up, let's say. Side note, dude, if you're gonna right hook a cyclist in Bend, maybe pick the one guy who's not from Boston, because I don't know, we're kind of like, we've got some experience when it comes to this stuff, and we're gonna unleash verbiage upon you, which you may have heretofore not heard in your life. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that ends careers if it were tweeted. I mean, I unloaded this guy and started telling him about how when I was 10 years old, I went out for Halloween as Mike Tyson and painted my face. Yeah, never mind. There are a few points where you can screw up and take a wrong turn, not many. I mean, if you are using a GPS, you're probably all set, but you're gonna wanna head in the direction of Lava Lakes. The riding in Bend is, for the most part, not very technical. You can cover a lot of ground on this really twisty, buff single track. It's not like going to Moab or Sedona or something like that, but it's great because you can generally just go out and ride 30 miles a day in 3 or 4 hours and get a lot of, cover a lot of terrain, get a lot of miles in, and just have a great time. And it's not like the Rockward crazy rock stuff that I do, but I enjoy it just as much, just because it's a nice respite from that sort of terrain. The first part of the ride, the prevailing direction is down. You've gained a ton of elevation on the road, and now you're gonna lose it all by going down to lava lakes. You're gonna feel like a hero. You're gonna be going like 14 miles an hour average for the first little bit, and you'll start doing some math and going, oh, we're gonna bang this thing out in a couple hours, like no problem. And what you have to realize is you are riding into a crater. Like literally into a crater, and you're gonna have to dig yourself out, and that climb is terrible. What's incredible is this is just 30 miles, no, sorry, it's not even 30 miles. It's like the actual trail is about 20 miles of the High Cascades 100 course, which is 100 miles, obviously. Now for me and like a normal person, like this is plenty of ride. Like this is enough ride to do in a day, and you're gonna be satisfied, or at least I am. And it's actually hard. Like getting up the climb out of lava lakes is actually very hard for me at this point. On this particular ride, I ran into these guys on horseback who were, it was, you know, either they were like at-risk horses, or they, you know, had drug problems. They were being rehabilitated by kids who had been neglected and abused, or something like that, maybe vice versa. But anyway, they were on like a 700-mile trek on these horses. It was pretty cool, and I kind of respectfully went around. I'm always like super respectful of the horses because I'm freaking terrified of them. I think they're beautiful, but I also just imagine them kicking a hole in my face. And so I give them a wide berth and always give the riders a ton of respect. So you keep going down Metolius-Windigo, and what's up, dude? What are you doing? Come here. Hi, what's up? Hi. I know, I'm bored too. I would like to go ride my bike too. So you keep going down Metolius-Windigo, and a Windigo, in my understanding, is some sort of mythological Native American spirit animal thing. That's it's kind of a combination of a bunch of different animals, and it's generally terrifying, and it's got, you know, kind of claws and antlers, and so it's a nice thing to think about while you're out in the woods alone, is the Windigo. Yeah, so I saw like these two hikers down around the lakes. That's the only people I saw all day. So I actually I dialed it down a notch and was just really careful to ride within my limits and really focus and pay attention and just not crash and not get hurt, because I am solo. I know some people think that's nutty, but as you get closer to Lava Lake, you'll start seeing the deadfall on the side of the trail start to look almost like driftwood. It's really just kind of bleached out. And I remember racing High Cascades 100, and I think it was in 2010. And now it starts downtown, so you're hitting this section of trail much later in the race, but back then you were hitting it really early in the morning. And pretty much in effect at every High Cascades 100 I've seen is you're starting at, I don't know, it's like 7 in the morning or something, and the light's coming through the dust, and there's tons of dust. It's generally dusty. It's generally very dry. It's very rare that there's any precipitation in the middle of summer in Bend. But there's so much dust kicked up by the riders that racers actually have bandanas or masks on to kind of guard their lungs, and they definitely want glasses on. But early in the morning, the way the moisture's in the air and the light is hitting the dust, it's like a wall, and you just can't see through it. And so you're riding through this stuff around Lava Lake where it's just cut into deadfall. They must just be like constantly chainsawing in the early season. And you can't see really where you're going down this narrow single track, and there's just such a trip hazard on these really hard, sharp logs on either side of the trail that are constant. One nice thing about this is I am a nut. I hate like Strava ride-arounds and ride-arounds in general. I like staying on the trail, keeping it narrow, keeping it single track. So there's not really an option to go around stuff when you have deadfall constantly lining the trail. So that's a plus. But the tripping on it when you can't see kind of sucks. So you get down to Lava Lakes, and it's freaking gorgeous. It's a great place to stop for a snack. It's unbelievable. You get to ride along these lakes for quite a bit. So when you head up from Lava Lake, there's this like a telephone pole or a log over the trailhead, and actually I did make that. I just want you to know, I hopped that log and I went into a track stand. I didn't put a foot down. It was close. But I also smacked myself in the face with a gimbal, because like the Hero 5 with the Karma is like this big thing. So not a lot of footage of the climb here, but this is a very long, very undulating, punchy, uneven climb. Here it looks like it's a good time, but it's really not. There's no way to find a rhythm. I think I I've actually had to walk my geared bike. I've ridden on the single speed too, and I've definitely walked, but I think I may have walked my geared bike. I'm not sure, maybe not. It'll have a bunch of sort of false summits, but then you'll get to the top and it's this kind of like a Jeep road, access road, whatever. I mean, it's very rough, and I think there's a sign for Quoll Butte, and then that's when you kind of know you're home free. There's not really much climbing after that. You're pretty much descending down to the car, and you can kind of, you know, pop a Red Bull, kid, and get ready to rip it up. So here is one of the drawbacks of the Karma grip. Here I tried to duck a low branch and I ended up not being able to get down, and the body of the Karma grip went into my saddle or top tube and prevented me from getting low enough, and I thought I could get low enough, but I couldn't with the gimbal on, and I ended up gouging the crap out of my back. It looked like a Wendigo went at me. And it kind of sucks. So I kind of hate the Karma grip. The descending after the Quoll Butte crossing at the summit it's pretty wide open. I think a lot of it's actually open to motorized vehicles, but it's wide open and super fun, and you are cooking through this stuff. And there's all these little ledges, lava rock ledges and stuff to jump off of that are super fun. And at this point, you're just really happy to be covering ground at that rate of speed. You're just, I mean, well, I am. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I want to go home. I want to go drink some beer. What's funny is everyone always talks about how non-technical Bend is, and then invariably during the High Cascades 100, riders get to the end of this section, and the lava rock is, you know, there's not a lot of like jutting up into the trail, but if you sort of high side a turn or wash out or whatever, and you scrape your sidewall against this stuff, it is just, I mean, you just have to look at the stuff and you're gonna get a flat. I mean, it's just like little claws that dig into your tire and just grab it. It has so much grip on it. And I've fallen in it, and it takes you apart. So I swear to God, if I flatted at this point, I would walk out. I wouldn't even care. I wouldn't even fix that flat. I think I have flatted here on a single speed, just getting too crazy. Yeah, so that's my favorite ride in Bend, Oregon, and I highly recommend it. I highly recommend Bend in general. It's like Disney World for mountain bikers. You got you know, easy access to all the trails. They're super well marked. You have all the support. You have demo bikes and shops everywhere. You have overabundant beer options, food options. Then you have the floating thing. You can float in town. You know, float on tubes and drink beer, and then they'll shuttle you back up to the rental spot. You can float down again, or you can get crazier and go off farther on the Deschutes and float and, you know, get out into the wilderness. Yeah, get out to Bend and check out what is the actual name? Metolius-Windigo-Lava-Edison loop. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you wanna. If you don't wanna, don't do it. I would never tell you guys what to do. All right, see you later.
A word of caution. We too are expending some fuel in a sustained attack, sir, if I may.
You know, I honestly have no problem dying alone in the wilderness. Oh, God.